So these are just some shout outs I had on why certain films have stories that are much better and more memorable than others. Specifically, while I was watching Pixar's Finding Nemo and Christopher Nolan's new Odyssey movie. Like, what do those two movies in particular have in common? Well, it's just this key idea that I randomly thought of. By the way, I have no knowledge on literature or film or story structures. I'm just coming up with this, but I think it's something that, for me at least, took the story to a whole new level, just intuitively. And it's something that they both share that I realized after that was a moment when I really went from, oh, this is a pretty good, okay film, to this film is a masterpiece. And it's what I like to call recontextualization, which is basically just taking the generic story structure that every story or film has, which is like kind of like the hero's journey. Like they go on a journey to fix some wrong or defeat some villain. They come up with some dangers or trials. They reach the climax, and then they eventually win. I mean, that's a pretty normal conventional story structure that both films do have, but I think what really takes it to the next level is adding another layer, another depth that makes you look at the whole thing in like a completely new light. For Finding Nemo is something that you don't really notice much as a child. I mean, the basic story structure is just like a overprotective dad who lost all his family and now just wants to protect Nemo and prevent anything from happening to him. So when Nemo does get lost, he spends all his time trying to go look for him. I mean, that's a pretty good, story structure about this dad overcoming his, need to always be watching Nemo. But the scene in the movie where it like completely changes that is when all of the sea creatures start rumoring about this legendary dad who searches the whole ocean just in search of his son. Now that changes it from just his overprotected dad Marlin to, wow, he cares about his son that much that he's going through all this trouble, like fighting sharks just to find his son. And that completely changes how we view Marlin in the story and what the story is even about. For the Odyssey, of course, Nolan is a genius in storytelling, no doubt about that. But it's really how he tells this, classic adaptation of the Odyssey. Now, there's a lot of discourse and talk about what the Odyssey does right and wrong. But this is just like from me, who has no knowledge of film or stories. I think what it did really well is just take this well-established tale of Odysseus trying to get home, which is the classic tale and we view Odysseus as a hero in the original. But that's just the first half of the film where the bards and the people around him view him like that. Like he won at Troy, he saved the Greeks. But the second half of the film, we see his perspective. We see the actual burning down of Troy, the pillaging, the sacrileges of cutting down the priestess in the temple of Athena, which is who we've been seeing throughout the whole movie. At least I think so. But it's really when he does that we see that Odysseus isn't really a hero. He's someone who's traumatized and guilty about all the men he's lost, about the terrors he's been doing at sea. And that just transformed the tale from a simple hero stories to a almost warning from Nolan that, you're pillaging and stealing. And it kind of mirrors his Oppenheimer tale that, once you've unleashed the atomic bomb, things can never be the same. Once Odysseus has broken that trust between different nations, it can never be the same again. And that's another deep layer that once you realize it, you feel like a genius, but also it really makes you appreciate the story a whole new level more. And that's coming from someone who didn't really understand what's the point of English classes in school. We have to analyze, certain things that you'd think, surely the author didn't go through all that trouble just to say that. But when you realize yourself, when you're watching a movie or reading a story, damn, that is actually genius. And that has made me appreciate this story way much more. It really changes how you view a simple story. But that's it for me. See ya.